Thank you so much for attending our session today on why Dremio Cloud. So we're going to be touching base on a number of things today. We're going to give you an overview of our Dremio Cloud, highlight some of the unique benefits of the Dremio Cloud and the platform and what we bring to the market, really talk about the value proposition of this fully managed offering and some of the key benefits that organization can see when it comes to management, security, et cetera. And then we're going to touch base on some of the customers on Dremio Cloud. So what we're really seeing in the market today is companies are really experiencing a lot of pain when it comes to managing software and infrastructure within their environment, especially around their analytical environment and data lake environments. There's a need for deep product knowledge, and there's a lot of manual things that organizations have to go through, that they need to do to actually scale those environments. There's always that need to implement the software initially, do all those configuration changes. And anytime there's an upgrade, there's that whole upgrade process that needs to be managed and implemented as well. There's always that cost and complexity that's associated with setting up and managing backups and recovery solution set associated with those environments and the time it takes to get those up and managing that whole process. And then, of course, all that security and compliance management as well. And then in many cases, we see that when organizations are experiencing the pain of managing software, there's a pain associated with the software licensing as well, because they have the license that they have don't really map to the use cases that they have associated with how they're actually using that analytical environment. So the products and that they're using don't really map to the pricing models in many cases and their consumption of it. And then one of the big things is there's really that time to market and really that overall time it takes for organizations to get software up and running. And then that knowledge transfer that has to occur between, the vendor as well as the company that's implementing the software. So, these are pain points that organizations face when they're actually managing software and infrastructure within their analytical environments. And what do we bring in Dremio? We solve a lot of these pain points when it comes to organizations when they're dealing with their analytical infrastructure. We bring a next generation architecture that actually deals with management and security and a whole bunch of components. We offer zero downtime upgrades, zero setup and management overhead associated with it. We offer really flexible consumption pricing, and we bring the latest functionality and the quickest time to value when it comes in leveraging the Dremio Cloud solution set. So let's jump into each one of these a little deeper. In Dremio Cloud, we really offer the next generation architecture. And what that means is we're really thinking about how do we bring security and that real infrastructure flexibility to the forefront with the offering. So for example, when it comes to security, we offer end-to-end TSL encryption, and that really provides a highest level security for this analytical environment and this cloud environment we provide. When it comes to efficiency, we actually do a lot of the management and do the management when it comes to scaling and resource utilization. We actually have dynamic scalability within the platform. So for example, in our executor environments, we auto scale based on concurrency, and that's all automatic. So companies actually don't have to manage, building out servers or any infrastructure to actually scale anything. It actually all happens behind the covers dynamically based on the workloads and the concurrency that a company has. Another key component is the idea of isolation. And that really means that the storage of a customer's data is in the customer's VPC. And then, of course, in the Dremio VPC, we really have that coordinator node where all the components that make up the smarts of the execution engine live. So by separating those two off, you have a higher level of isolation and security within an organization. So what we really bring to the table is that high level security and that flexibility in this new next generation architecture that dynamically deals with changing business demands that organizations face. Another key component and benefit of the Dremio Cloud environment is we also provide zero downtime upgrades. So when an organization needs to upgrade or there's any upgrades going on within the Dremio Cloud environment, all those patches and upgrades, the executor patches and upgrades, all those are done and there's no downtime associated with that. I mean, there's always an environment that an organization can use and leverage to execute their queries. So unlike a software only solution, let's say, that an organization might have, where they actually have to bring down the server, kick all the users off the environment, the users don't have an environment to actually leverage. They go through an upgrade process and then bring the servers back up. All that is done by us behind the scenes in the cloud environment, and there's no downtime associated with it. So it really delivers those higher levels of business consistency and continuity to organizations within their analytical environment. A big benefit for organizations in leveraging Dremio Cloud. We also eliminate a lot of the setup and management overhead associated with analytical environments as well. And that's one of the big benefits of Dremio Cloud when organizations are leveraging it. So all that stuff that organizations have to mess with when they're dealing with a software only solution, they don't have to deal with our totally managed Dremio Cloud solution set. Things such as infrastructure management, all the upgrades of infrastructure or features are nothing needs to be managed and dealt with in that manner. You know, when you're dealing with creating and managing certificates, that's all done behind the scenes by us. We actually create multiple URLs for connections. Manual debugging with logs has not had to be done. All the backup tasks are done by us. There's no knobs to tune and configure. We actually deal with all that and optimizing performance in the environment. And as I mentioned earlier, security management. So one of the big themes and benefits of our Dremio Cloud is all that setup and management stuff that an organization has to do with their software solution set. We take care of that. So there's a huge benefit in eliminating a lot of those pain points and management overhead associated with other environments. What we also offer is pricing that maps to usage that organizations see within analytical environments. We offer flexible consumption pricing. Organizations can pre-purchase a pool of what we call Dremio Cloud units, DCUs. And then DCUs are consumed on an hourly basis on actual usage of the Dremio Cloud platform. So you use the platform, you can leverage those DCUs for usage. So it's basically mapping to that consumption of the workloads within the Dremio Cloud environment. And we provide fully transparent usage reporting. And the DCUs are actually applied for only utilized workloads. So you decrease your workloads and your bill is less. You increase your peak workloads for peak areas or seasonal times or whatever it might be. So it really maps much closer to how organizations are leveraging their analytical environments, their lakehouse environments, and gives that benefit of that flexible consumption pricing. So it really simplifies capacity planning and budgeting that organizations have to go through when dealing with their analytical environments as well. So what we also bring to the table with the Dremio Cloud solution set is the latest Dremio features. So what you're always going to see is those latest and greatest features will be in Dremio Cloud first. We actually have a faster release cadence with our Dremio Cloud solution set, and we release basically on every 2 to 3 weeks. So you're always getting the latest and greatest upgrades and features within Dremio Cloud. We also are offering some exclusive cloud-only capabilities, and some features will be delivered in Dremio Cloud only. So there's a big benefit of leveraging the Dremio Cloud solution because you're getting the latest and greatest and the best always in that Dremio Cloud environment. So one of the huge benefits of all this management that we do and all the benefits of the flexibility and scalability is we really deliver in Dremio Cloud the quickest time to value. So one of the big benefits we see a lot of organizations in leveraging Dremio Cloud is all that stuff they'd have to do if they were setting up their own environment. They don't have to do any of it. Hardware acquisition, server configuration, software installation, setup and configuration, that administration training that has to happen if organizations are actually going to run their analytical environment. We take care of all of that. That's all behind the scenes. Software tuning, security and setup and configuration. And what that really equals is organizations are able to get their users accessing data and executing queries and answering critical business questions in a very short period of time. So they're actually bringing the business value much quicker to organizations. So, it's that bringing the quickest time to value. And that's one of the big benefits and reasons organizations should be looking at the Dremio Cloud solution set. So now I wanted to touch on some of the Dremio Cloud only unique features that we also bring to the market, and some of these unique features that are only in Dremio Cloud. One of them is we have lakehouse management. And lakehouse management is a great feature that allows the automatic management of data and tables that exist within a data lake environment, in this lakehouse environment, and unique capabilities that allow for experimentation, as well as virtual data marts, no copy data marts, a whole slew of features that are now available only in Dremio Cloud. Things such as isolation. You're able to experiment without actually impacting other users. You can actually do version controls. You can reproduce models. You can duplicate environments without actually having to copy the data. All changes and to the data that exists within that lakehouse environment and the metadata are all tracked within our lakehouse management capability within Dremio Cloud. We actually do automatic table optimization. So we automatically rewrite small files into larger files and group these similar rows and tables together that optimize performance for the environment. So that happens all under the covers with lakehouse management to make the environment as performant and managed as possible. And then things such as automatic table cleanup, removing unused manifest files, manifest lists, data files, all that kind of stuff is done automatically by lakehouse management within Dremio Cloud. Another unique feature we also bring to the table only in Dremio Cloud is generative AI capabilities. So we can automatically generate wikis, that provide unique things such as data sets descriptions, what the actual data sets mean within an environment, examples of SQL, a whole bunch of things that generative AI actually brings to the table. We can actually tag data and label data, and that's all done by generative AI. And then we actually have a unique feature that does text to SQL, where you can simply write standard English, and then it will, or natural language, and then it will actually automatically generate SQL that can be executed by a business user. So it actually makes it much easier to expose your data lake environment, your lakehouse environment, to your business users who aren't maybe technically SQL proficient. They can leverage things such as text to SQL to leverage that generative AI capabilities and easily gain business insight into the data that exists within your lakehouse environment. So we also bring with, and one of the other benefits of the Dremio Cloud solution set is we have a compelling security model. So as I mentioned earlier, some of the foundational components are that manageability and security as that unique capabilities that we bring to the table in our Dremio Cloud solution. So we have a whole slew of compliance and industry standard regulations, as you can see here, such as GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA compliance. And then we have built-in security capabilities with role-based and access controls that we bring to the table within Dremio Cloud, such as offering fine-grained privileges to users that are in that environment, database style inheritance when it comes to the schemas and tables that exist within the environment as well. This ownership component of object-oriented models with these really clearly defined and transferable owners for all aspects in Dremio, including cloud and engine configurations, all those components as well. And then, of course, all the standard SQL command capabilities, all those management of all the aspect can be done through specific SQL commands as well as leveraging the UI or REST capabilities as well. One of the other big benefits that we bring to the table is the availability and durability of the solution. Since we're dealing with all those management components that I talked about, the upgrade components, the patching, all that is done by us. We would deliver the highest levels of durability and availability in the Dremio Cloud environment. So we just look at some of our statistics when it comes to the availability and durability of Dremio Cloud. So just for example, in the last 90 days, we've had 0.5% query failure rates that was associated with us. That means that if an organization is leveraging the Dremio Cloud environment, they're getting huge levels of availability in a very minute, unrecognizable amount of the queries would actually even ever fail. Always doing ongoing monitoring of the Dremio Cloud environment. So you get ongoing analysis of failing queries. We look at those and see why they might fail. And as I mentioned, we have this minute failure rate that's associated with the actual Dremio system. If there's any failed jobs, we have triggers associated with it, would automatically notify the Dremio teams. When we see any errors associated within an environment, we prioritize those and, in a very rapid manner, fix all of those. So what we're able to deliver is the highest availability within that Dremio Cloud environment for an analytical environment and a data lake and lakehouse environment. So how stable is the environment? We're actually always monitoring the stability. And if there's any downtime associated with it, we actually instantaneously receive notification that cloud environment ever goes down. And just if we look at the last 90 days, 100% uptime associated with our environment in the United States. And in EMEA, we have a 99.98% that we had a small blip at one point in time, but basically it's delivering almost 100% uptime in the environment. So we really pride ourselves in when we were delivering the Dremio Cloud environment, we're delivering a fully robust, stable solution set that organizations could leverage for their analytical environment. And as I mentioned earlier, we have those things that dynamically scale, control planes, coordinators to handle any spikes in usage. And we're always providing that 24/7 monitoring, alerting, and all that tracing. With what we also provide is that on-call site reliability engineers, making sure that we're delivering the most stable, available analytical environment to our customer base. So let's just touch base on some of the Dremio Cloud customers that we bring to the table. So we have a large number of customers who are leveraging Dremio Cloud as their lakehouse solution set and doing huge workloads on there. That's customers, some marquee customers like PwC, Vanguard, Moderna, now a whole number of customers are leveraging the Dremio Cloud solution set and getting huge benefits, and their users have access and business insight. All those benefits that Dremio brings to to a company, that unified access capability, that very powerful and effective and very, very fast SQL query engine, where they're getting sub-second response times on their queries. As well as I mentioned earlier, having that lakehouse management capability, being able to dynamically and very easily manage the whole environment and deal with governance and users within that environment is a huge benefit. And being able to spin up virtual data marts and non-copy data and all those capabilities, these organizations are leveraging and seeing huge benefits from. So now let's kind of do and look at a comparison between Dremio Cloud versus our Dremio software solution set, just software only solution. So one of the big things, as I mentioned earlier, and one of the themes of this whole presentation is really that management piece. So when we look at the management right off the bat, of course, when you're dealing with a software only solution set versus a SaaS cloud solution set, when you're looking at Dremio Cloud versus Dremio software, you have all those components that I mentioned earlier that are all managed by us and we take care of, and organizations don't even have to touch. So things such as no infrastructure setup, the infrastructure upgrades, software configuration, software upgrade tasks, backup tasks, manual debugging, all those things that I touched on earlier. Of course, you don't have to do any of those when it comes to Dremio Cloud versus Dremio software. When you're managing your own environment, of course, you have to set up all those components and run them yourself. So a huge benefit for organizations, and those are some of the key differences when it comes to Dremio Cloud and Dremio software. Now let's just look at some of the feature components as well. So we have some components some unique components that are in Dremio Cloud that aren't in Dremio software, such as fine-grained catalog, fine-grained privileges, looking at the actual catalog, security certificates, etc. And where we do have components that are not yet available in Dremio Cloud, all of those are coming soon, such as access poly providers, policy-driven access masking is coming very soon as well. And then one of the other benefits, as I mentioned earlier, is we talked on that aspect of scalability. So all that benefits and features that we bring with that dynamic scalability, of course, are in Dremio Cloud and are not in Dremio software. And then when we look at those unique features that I touched on, such as the AI features, those are in Dremio Cloud, but not in Dremio software. And that big component that I talked about, the unique component of lakehouse management, the optimization of iceberg tables, that data versioning and versioning control, being able to create those virtual data marts to do that experimentation without actually duplicating or copy data, and then being able to merge those back into the production environment very easily or roll back changes from that production environment. All of that is capability that's in Dremio Cloud, but not in Dremio software. And of course, there's miscellaneous components such as multiple projects. Data lineage is a component that is right now in Dremio software and is coming soon in Dremio Cloud. And of course, connector coverage, we have some differences in connector coverage, and some of those details can be looked at as well, but we're working for parity in the connectors. When we look at organizations and they're looking at, should I be looking at Dremio Cloud versus Dremio software? Which solution should I really be looking at? Well, you should be looking at Dremio software in a couple cases, these unique outlier cases. One, if your data gravity is on-prem and you really have that desire to stay on-prem, we understand you should be leveraging Dremio software on an on-prem environment. If you need data sources, connectors that are not yet supported by Dremio Cloud in some unique cases, then of course, Dremio software would be that solution you could leverage for that period of time. If you have some unique security requirements, we know there's some organizations, of course, some of our government customers, where they don't want to move their data into the cloud. They don't want to have a cloud-based environment, and they want to keep it on-prem. So for those unique security requirements, of course, you leverage Dremio software, and you can leverage that in an on-prem environment as well. And if organizations sometimes don't want to go toward that public cloud cost model, and they'd rather have different pricing. And in those cases, of course, you can leverage the Dremio software solution. But we really believe organizations who are looking at Dremio and looking at the benefits of the solution that we bring to the table with our unique lakehouse solution set should be looking at Dremio Cloud for everything else and the benefit it brings to the table for organizations. All those things that I touch base on, that eliminating all that management pain, all the dynamic scale, all the security capabilities, the unique features that are coming out, all the features coming out first in Dremio Cloud. So there's a huge benefit for organizations to be leveraging Dremio Cloud as the solution when they're looking at Dremio as that, scalable, unified lakehouse platform for their solution. Thank you. And thank you for attending this webinar today. And I hope you'll consider and look at Dremio Cloud as an analytical solution for your environment.